Hey everyone, so before I get into this video, I just want to clarify that everything that I will be talking about is taken from my own personal life, and it all happened in November 2015. So I thought I would share this story with you, and as you can see from the title of this video, it is about underdosing and overdosing anti-anxiety medication. Now, I am planning to make a completely separate video about it, but I have a very severe fear of flying, which is because of the flight experience that I had, a really bad flight experience that I could almost call a near-death flight experience. It became so severe, I couldn't even look at the planes. Thinking of myself flying would cause panic inside of me. And you have to remember the bad experience that I had when I was really young, or maybe not really young, but quite young. I think I was about 13 when that happened, and I definitely had at least 3-year break from flying, and I've always had this desire to travel, but what I would do, I would just travel around Europe on a coach. I would rather spend 30 hours on a coach than take a plane somewhere. There was a point in my life when I thought I would never be able to go on an airplane again. February 2014, this opportunity came up. Our diving club, so mine, my mom's and my stepdad's diving club, was organizing this trip to Lanzarote. And if you guys don't know, Lanzarote is one of the Canary Islands, and I'm pretty sure the only way you can actually get there is to go on a plane, because it's actually closer to Africa than it is to Europe. But when I first heard about that trip, I was like, oh my god, I would absolutely love to go. I would love to see the camels, to ride a camel, swim in the ocean, go diving, see the volcanoes and everything. But there is absolutely no way I can go, because there is absolutely no way I can go on a plane. So that's what I said to my mom and my stepdad when they were trying to book the trip, but they wouldn't have this excuse. They would be like, you have to get over this irrational fear. And they booked me in anyway. So after they booked a place for me at the hotel and the flights, I had so many sleepless nights. And bear in mind, it was like February and March and April 2014, and my holiday was in November, and I was really on and off with my thoughts. Sometimes I thought, yes, I guess I could do it. The other times I was like, there was absolutely no way I could be doing this. So finally I decided to see someone about it. She prescribed me them anti-anxiety pills in 2 doses. One was 0.25 milligrams and one was 0.5 milligram, and she told me before my flight to take a whole milligram, but to take it in turns. So say take 1/4 milligram, wait half an hour, take 1/2 milligram, wait half an hour, and take another 1/4 milligram, but do everything at least half an hour before my flight, because it takes a while for the pills to start working. And she also told me that I could be taking them a week before my flight in case my panic gets really bad, really out of hand, and my anxiety levels are really high. But I didn't actually end up doing that, because I believed that the pills would become slightly less effective if my body would start to get used to them. And I think that was for the best. So if you could avoid that potentially, I think that would be best. And she also told me that I could take a sleeping pill before my flight. That should help me as well. And at that point I was already on my sleeping pills. And in case you haven't seen my insomnia video and you are interested, I will leave a link to it down below. I've spoken all about my experiences with insomnia. But now moving forward to the day of my flight, I actually distributed my pills really well, I think. It worked very well for me. I took 1/4 milligram just after I woke up. I took 1/2 milligram on my way to the airport, and I took another 1/4 milligram after my check-in. And you guys, this was crazy, because all them days of fear and being scared, when I was in duty free and after my check-in, I was so chilled. I was never this chilled in my life, because of them pills, of course. I was so chilled. I went to MAC, I bought some makeup, I bought some skincare, I went to the cafe, and I just had a really good time, but I was really chilled like never before. It was really weird. But then I went on a plane, and I was still fine sitting on the plane. However, during the takeoff, I was experiencing some anxiety. I would say quite bad anxiety, but nowhere near as bad as it would have been otherwise. Otherwise, I would never be able to go on a plane, you guys. If I'm saying to you that I would never be able to go on a plane, just believe me. Yes, the takeoff was scary. And one recommendation for me to you, if you care about that sort of thing, what I did basically, there was this sign that was lit and it said exit on it. I was basically just looking at it directly. I wasn't looking at anything else. I was just looking at it and holding tight to my seat. And I was just waiting for this takeoff to be over, trying to switch off my mind completely, trying not to think about anything. I was just looking at that sign and nothing else mattered. So it was slightly scary, well, quite scary, but after that, after the takeoff, I was completely fine. At the point when they started serving food and you were able to go to the toilet, I fell asleep and I woke up just before the landing started. I went to the toilet and the landing, I was completely fine with the landing. Usually the takeoff and the landing are the worst. The landing for me, I don't remember being scared at all. So the next day I woke up and I thought to myself, oh my god, I overcame my fear of flying. I could go on an airplane today if I had to. Before my trip, I was always very scared of not just getting to Lanzarote, but then being able to go back from Lanzarote to England. But at that point, I thought to myself that I could go on a plane any time of the day, anytime I wanted, that I overcame completely my fear of flying, that I could go again, that I didn't mind flying whatsoever, and I was very happy with myself. And basically, you guys, this is when I went wrong. This is when my mindset got everything totally wrong. I had to remember that it was this easy due to them pills, which helped me and made it this easy. Without the pills, it wouldn't be this easy at all. So I was in Lanzarote for a week and it got to the time I had to fly back, and I wasn't completely stupid to the point I wouldn't take my medication at all, but I didn't take much of it. I think I only took about 1/4 milligram or 1/2 milligram max before my flight, whereas I was completely aware that the person who prescribed me the pills said to me to take 1 milligram dose. But I thought to myself that I overcame the fear and I didn't need any medication, and I didn't take any sleeping pills either. And in the airport I was totally fine. But you guys, as soon as I went on a plane and as soon as the takeoff started, my anxiety levels went from pretty much 0 to 100. It was so bad. It was honestly awful, one of the worst experiences of my life. It was so weird because I remember being so chilled about it, but actually being on a plane and actually taking off, I couldn't handle it. And then what I did, even though again I was aware that it takes at least half an hour for each pill to work, well, the flight was 4 hours and a half, but that's really kind of beside the point because the takeoffs were the most scary. But that's when I started to take sleeping pills and more anti-anxiety medication that I had in my bag, and it didn't seem to work because my panic was so bad. I wanted to calm myself down really quickly, so if I couldn't see any results after 10 minutes of taking them, I took some more and then I took some more. I don't remember how many pills I took. Now my side effects were like problems with breathing, even more of a panic, feeling very sickly. My sleeping pills wouldn't actually work until my flight was over, but I was shaking so bad. I was shaking. I mean, nobody else really was looking at me or anything, but within myself I could see how much I was shaking, and I wasn't sure whether it was because of the fear or whether it was because I overdosed my pills or whether it was both of the things combined. I had to get off my seat and go to someone from our diving club and talk to him. I started talking to him. He was always this very chilled guy, but I needed someone to talk to. but then I started feeling like the plane was shaking even though it wasn't shaking. I had to go back to my seat. The pills affected my heartbeat as well because my heart started pounding so bad. And I know I was panicky before and my heart was beating really fast, but at that point I could feel my heart everywhere, in my head, in my hands. So hard to explain. I didn't take some crazy amounts that could kill me, by the way, but I did definitely overdose my pills quite a lot, especially the sleeping pills, because I was so determined to go to sleep, but that wouldn't happen. So this is actually not the end of the story, guys. So through the entire flight there wasn't a minute for me to be calm at all, for the entire flight until we actually completely landed. I was really petrified. But then getting home, I passed out. As you can imagine, so many sleeping pills, I passed out. I woke up probably in the evening the next day, came home at around noontime, afternoon time. I passed out and I didn't wake up until the evening the following day. And for at least 3 or 4 days, I could feel the side effects of them pills. Not just by being tired, but by being very aggressive. Even like walking, I kind of felt very dizzy. And you know, sometimes when you are very drunk and you walk and you feel kind of dizzy, for at least 3 or 4 days afterwards, I felt dizzy. I couldn't feel my hands properly, my nerves or my muscles. I would touch my hand and I almost couldn't feel it. I almost couldn't feel anything what was around me. I was very aggressive and very like kind of annoyed and stressed out. I felt never this bad in my life, and I was certain it was because I overdosed the anti-anxiety medication together with the sleeping pills. And even talking to my mom, for example, I felt very aggressive. I was shouting at her, being very annoyed at everything, feeling very horrible. Obviously, I couldn't even feel my body properly. I couldn't walk properly. I feel like it was very dangerous, and at that point I was scared that this was never going to go away, that I was always going to be like this. But of course, after a few days, the pills were gone from my system and I came back to my old me. I thought I would share this story with you guys just because I want to make sure you stay safe. I mean, I'm glad this story happened to me, if I'm completely honest, because now I am a lot wiser. I can guarantee you I would not make the same mistake, and I want to make sure you guys won't make the same mistake either. And I know not everyone can relate to this video and to this story. The fear of flying is quite rare, but it's not about the fear of flying, or it's not even about the anti-anxiety medication. I know some people don't require to take any anti-anxiety medication, and some people have to take it on day-to-day basis. But I just want to say generally, if any specialist or any person knowledgeable in a subject or educated in a subject tells you to do something and you know they are trying to help you, please listen to them, because doing otherwise can be very dangerous. To be fair, both of the circumstances were dangerous for me, the underdosing and the overdosing. Yes, the overdosing was significantly more dangerous than the underdosing, but because of the underdosing, I experienced the extreme amount of stress, fear, panic, which is also harmful for your body. So whatever that is, you guys, I just want you to stay safe and to listen to the people that are perhaps wiser than you in a certain subject, and don't end up thinking that you know better about yourself, because sometimes the matter of the fact is you don't. So yeah, guys, that is the end for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you didn't, please like it and subscribe to me if you're not already, and I'll see you next one. Bye!